Guys, welcome to World War III, episode number 20. We have an offer from Elon Musk. He tweets out, "I have made an offer." And if you click on the link, it says at the bottom, "As a result, I am offering to buy 100% of Twitter for $54 a share in cash, a 54% premium over the day before I began investing in Twitter, and a 38% premium over the day before my investment was publicly announced. My offer is my best and final offer, and if it is not accepted, I would need to reconsider my position as a shareholder." That coming from Elon Musk. So yeah, it happened. Elon Musk has officially offered to buy Twitter and, in his words, restore the First Amendment. Clearly, this would be something that I'm sure many Republicans would like, many Democrats would dislike. It is a very interesting dynamic, and, I've talked about this multiple times, but the more you think about it, the more you realize they don't just hate billionaires like Elon Musk because of their money. It's the power that comes with having that money. You take a look at the current Democratic Party, they love an aggressive, huge government, where the government controls everything. Some of these people on the left have gone so far as to say we need some form of socialism, some form of communism. We need government control. Elon Musk having this money enables him to be this powerful, where he can just straight up say, "Hey, I want to buy Twitter." It really is interesting to see the different dynamics at play when it comes to these social media networks and Democrats not wanting Elon Musk to buy Twitter so he can restore the First Amendment. And I understand it. I think if the Republicans had control of Twitter, they'd be in the exact same position. It's this team mentality. Democrats don't want the First Amendment on Twitter because the people getting banned are majority right-wing, can potentially influence people to become more right-wing. And if Elon Musk officially buys Twitter, I said that's exactly what he should do. Don't worry about creating a new platform right now because it would just alienate the people on the left. There would be no reason for them to leave Twitter to join that new platform. You're better off just buying Twitter and making the First Amendment a complete right on Twitter. Now, there are limits to that, but politically, it is a right, and you can't just go out and ban Donald Trump because you don't want him spreading his message. You can't go out and ban certain people because you say they're conspiracy theorists. That type of stuff where you ban people due to their political leaning and really due to them possibly influencing others is unacceptable. Banning them would be unacceptable, and it is funny. It's like, how do you even debate a Democrat about this issue? Like, I would go to a Democrat and I'd be like, "So you don't like the First Amendment? Like, you want people silenced?" Like, and again, I understand if Republicans had it their way, if they were in control of what gets out, what gets labeled misinformation, which I hate the word misinformation. That word should be erased because it's a complete enabler for Democrats to ban whatever they don't like, and then they just label it misinformation. They ban whatever they don't like, and then they use the word as an enabler, as a reason why they banned it. Oh, it's disinformation, it's misinformation. It is interesting, but Elon Musk, it'd be amazing if he bought it. I'm not this huge, I'm not trying to have like these pom-poms for Elon Musk. The guy's a multi-billionaire. He's got an insane amount of money. But this is something where, again, what I say when it comes to these billionaires, why do Democrats really hate billionaires? They love a big government. They love the government having all the power. And when you bring in someone like Elon Musk, and it turns out, when you have this much money, you get an insane amount of power. It's not just the fact that Elon Musk is insanely wealthy. It's also the power that comes with it, to where he can say, "You know what? Twitter doesn't want to instill the First Amendment. Democrats want to use the argument that it's a private company. That's ridiculous. I'll just buy Twitter and make them abide by the First Amendment." I mean, it is crazy, and we'll see if his proposal gets accepted here. First, he went on, he invested a bunch into it. Now he's saying, "You know what? Let's fast track it. I just want to buy it." and then we get some, some level, and, anything. Everyone's saying, well, Elon Musk is going to do this. We don't want Elon Musk to have his propaganda, things like that. Trust me, anything is better than what Twitter is currently doing, where they're picking and choosing and they're banning people due to political biases, due to political leanings. Anything is better. And if Elon Musk gets the company, that will be positive for America as a whole. It won't be positive for Democrats, because right now Democrats have a stranglehold and they're picking and choosing who they want to ban and who they want to silence. But overall for America, it is positive to have normal political discourse on these major social media platforms, to where someone, if they say something politically, they're not worried about getting banned. So we will see if that ends up, we will see if Elon Musk does end up buying it. He submitted a proposal this morning. Next, I was on Elon Musk's Twitter, and this was also on there. I thought it was just an interesting thing. Which media organizations are trusted more by Democrats and Republicans? And it really is crazy. There is only one news outlet that is trusted at over 50% by U.S. adults, according to this survey, and it's the Weather Channel. And the Weather Channel is at 51%. And Republicans are actually lower on the Weather Channel than Democrats. I think that's due to the Weather Channel and their climate change propaganda and things like that. I'm not saying I lean one way or the other, but I think that's why the Republicans would be less when it comes to the Weather Channel than Democrats. But you got, the Republicans not trusting CNN. You've got the Democrats not trusting Breitbart. Things like I would honestly probably say I don't trust any of these, just because of the amount of money that's involved, the incentive these companies have to swing things a certain way. The financial incentive is too great. It's just simply too great. And it goes same things with when it comes to medicine and things like that. The financial incentive these companies have, these major corporations, is so unbelievable. I would say I probably don't trust any of them. I mean, I guess the Weather Channel, but this was a funny graph. This is how bad news is in America right now, where you can take a look at the purple circle is the average U.S. adult, and for every single service, for every single news outlet except the Weather Channel, which is just barely over 50%, an average American trusts every single news outlet below 50%, which is crazy to think about. We've also got Russia threatening nuclear escalation in the Baltics if Sweden and Finland join NATO. I think there needs to be a strict policy that NATO develops, where you can't be joining a NATO if we're in the middle of a war. Like, seriously. And there's no way Sweden and Finland are going to join NATO. It would make no sense based on America's stance, which is to totally de-escalate this situation. If America really wanted to defeat Russia, they would, help invade Ukraine, but they don't want that. They want to de-escalate it. So why would we allow, it's the same thing with Ukraine trying to join NATO. These countries, they see war and they get all nervous and they're like, we need to join. No, you don't get to join NATO when a war is going on and give Russia an excuse to attack or be even more aggressive. I don't know what I guess I can understand Ukraine saying, please, NATO, let us join, because they're the ones being invaded, and then they try and join the European Union too. The European Union, people were saying, I'm not sure how naive you have to be to think that the European Union would let Ukraine join while Ukraine is being invaded by Russia. That means that because it's the European Union, you wouldn't have America's support. There is less than a 0% chance Western Europe would go to war with Russia without America's support. And if Ukraine joined the European Union, obviously the United States is not a part of the European Union. The United States is a part of NATO. It would be Ukraine joining NATO, which would never happen during a war. Ukraine was never joining NATO. I've said this before. Ukraine was never joining NATO anyways. NATO is meant as a defense policy, not an aggressive policy. And then there was this whole Russian, I was going to say the word misinformation. I'm not going to say that. There was this whole Russian narrative going around at the start of the war that they invaded Ukraine because Ukraine was going to join NATO and NATO was going to plant nuclear bombs at the border with Russia. NATO was never going to let Ukraine in. Their land borders with them. So this whole idea where Russia is threatening, like Sweden and Finland, no. You have to wait for peacetime, and then you can maybe join NATO. There's too many countries in NATO as it is. I've already said my piece about NATO and what I think America should do when it comes to NATO. I'm not going to let this video go sideways to where I get into a 20-minute rant about NATO. I'm not going to let that do that. But I just thought it was interesting. Saw it on, Twitter, whatever. It says, Russia threatening Sweden and Finland's threatening NATO if they join. Why would you even consider letting any country join NATO during wartime? Especially a European country. It makes no sense. And then they're like, oh, Ukraine's going to join the European Union. There's less than a 0% chance of that, because that means the European Union would be at war with Russia without America's support, without the United States support. No sense. Makes no sense. I just wanted to get that out there. Pay 5% of my medical wages for universal health care. Nah. Pay 20% of my wages to private health insurance. Yeah. So this is an interesting meme. Of course, the problem with universal health care is the quality of doctors. Okay, they get very low quality doctors when you have universal health care compared to a private health insurance system. Obviously, there are a lot of people saying you shouldn't have to pay for your own health care, things like that. It is pretty ridiculous. I remember being in the hospital for about 7 hours. I had to go to the emergency room one time when I had an issue with a drug or something. I don't remember. But I was in the emergency room for 7 hours, and I got a bill like a month later, $900. I was in the emergency room, the waiting room for about 6 hours. They took my blood pressure, did all that for the other hour, and a $900 bill. Now my insurance cut it down to $100, but that is pretty crazy. So there definitely needs to be a give and a take. But again, when everyone says we want universal health care, this is the problem that Canada is having, where because there's no competitiveness with the universal health care system, the quality of doctors, there's no incentive for really good specialists to you take part in a system like that, so you get really low quality doctors. That's the problem with that. And then this is something, the Democrats, apparently, they have a Twitter account that's verified. New 71% of Americans blame Vladimir Putin for increased gas prices, according to a new poll. 71% of Democrats, maybe? I'm not sure where they got that poll from, but the gas prices were going up well before Vladimir Putin invaded the Ukraine. So again, this seems like a completely rigged poll. 71% of bipartisan people? No way. Maybe 71% of Democrats are going with that narrative. But guys, again, the gas prices were getting completely out of control before the invasion. Now, did Putin make it even worse when it comes to the gas? Probably a little bit. They estimate a little bit, but this was already a major issue before the invasion. So the fact that the Democrats are using this talking point where it's all Putin's fault, maybe he contributed a little bit with the invasion, making gas prices skyrocket even more, but you're really just insulting Americans' intelligence for tweeting something. I mean, 71% of bipartisan people believe that Vladimir Putin is the cause of these outrageous gas prices when Americans were complaining before the invasion in late January about ridiculous gas prices, and it was happening all over the place. So I just thought that was a bit ridiculous. And then you've got this, why so many conservatives are talking about grooming all of a sudden. And I really don't like this. I understand what a lot of these conservatives are saying when it comes to this "don't say gay" bill. I don't call Democrats, I'm an independent. I'm not going to call Democrats groomers, although I understand why conservatives are doing it. But I wanted to read this article, and it was so badly written. And so, like, you get into this article, and it says, except there's no mention of grooming in the law. Instead, it prohibits classroom instruction by student personnel or third parties on sexual orientation or gender identity in kindergarten through third grade, or in a matter that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students in accordance with state standards. So if casting those who oppose this law as pro-grooming, which is what Republicans are doing, It is not rooted in evidence. What is it rooted in? ? In part, it's a dog whistle to the party's most extreme conspiracy-minded base. The foundation of the QAnon conspiracy theory that there is a mass secret underground ring of Satan. Like, come on, man. Are we really gonna go there? We can't have a normal argument. You're really gonna go to, like, 1%, like 5% maybe of the Republican Party about QAnon and pedophiles and things like that. And it's just like I'm trying to see an article and see an opposing viewpoint for why. And again, I'm not big on the word groomer myself, calling all these people. I think I understand why they're doing it. What is the excuse to talk to first graders about gender identity? There's no excuse for it. So it does raise red flags when teachers get all up in arms when someone says, listen, you're not allowed to talk to kids about gender identity and changing genders in first grade. They're in first grade. And then the teacher gets mad about that. Yeah, you might equate that maybe they're trying to groom them or something. But it's just like, I'm trying to read this and it just goes straight to QAnon. Really? You can't do better than that? Come on, guys. It's just a weak article. Whenever I see that, it was just annoying. Like I was like, let me actually see this. We see what the Republican side of it. Let me see this. And then they immediately say, oh, they're QAnon. They're conspiracy theorists. They think everything's a pedophile. They're the ones. It's just, come on, guys. Give me an argument. Give me an argument why it's important to teach first graders about transgender people and about, things like that. It's just the same thing. It's not even about that. It's about trans people. They're creating the straw man. They're creating the false narrative that if you are for this Don't Say Gay bill, you're anti-trans. It's a straw man. It's a false narrative. This has everything to do with the children and how old they are. The fact that we're trying to protect them. They're very young. We don't teach kids, you put your penis in her vagina and a baby gets formed. We don't teach kids that in first grade either. Okay, so there's a time, a place, and an age. I don't tell a 6-year-old kid to go say the F word, or, we don't, the kids are too young. They're too young. This has to do with age. That's why it's a bill specifically designed kindergarten through third grade. This isn't even aggressive to where, I would say if you said kindergarten through sixth grade, okay, that may be a little bit aggressive. It's not even aggressive. These are lower elementary school kids. Lower. This is not anti-trans. You're creating a false narrative because you have a bias. You have a bias, that, everyone has to accept trans people. That's great. We're not saying don't accept trans people. We're saying when you use this propaganda, and really it's like, trans stuff is not in the curriculum for first or second or third graders. So when teachers talk about it, it's clear they're motivated politically. There's a 99.999% chance they're pretty far left wing. And there's I just read a story probably in like 3 episodes ago where doing one of these videos where a teacher was bragging that 22 of her students were gay. Come on, folks. What are we really doing here? It is ridiculous, but just wanted to touch on the major news. Elon Musk trying to buy Twitter. Very smart, very good thing there. We'll have to see if Elon Musk can get it done and instill a First Amendment, which would be a major blow to Democrats in terms of the internet war, in terms of the information war online, which recently they've been 100% winning due to their stranglehold over Twitter, over all the major social medias. Facebook as well is more left-leaning than right-leaning, obviously. And this would be a major blow. And it just goes to show you, billionaires, whether or not you think they should have that money, this would be a very good thing for the overall betterment of society, to not have people silenced due to their political views. And Elon Musk is saying, listen, I have the money to do it. Again, guys, the reason a lot of these alt-left people hate billionaires, it's not just because they have a crazy amount of money and there's people living in poverty. It's because that amount of money almost gives you power over the government, and they're obsessed with the government having all the power. They want the government to have all the power, as much power as possible, and you should be a little cog in a bigger system. That's what they want, and they're pissed that Elon Musk can say, you know what, this is ridiculous. You're not going to believe in the First Amendment because you say it's private and we can do what we want. Then I'll just buy Twitter and make you abide by the First Amendment anyways. I'll just buy it. It is a pretty badass move. But guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.